Welcome to We Used to Live Together. I'm Hannah.
I'm Chris.
And we
used to live together. Good morning. Good morning. It's great to stay up late. Good morning. Good morning to you.
And you.
Welcome back,
Guys,
roomies.
Do you hear another voice?
You might notice there's a third body in the room. Well, there's actually 5 bodies in the room.
You can say we're doing a live show.
With a live audience.
We have a guest, special guest, actually.
Yay.
Yay!
Oh, I love applause.
Hannah, why don't you give us a little intro?
All right. All the way from Orange, California, we have Heather and Junior.
Welcome, long-time listener.
I know. Oh, yes.
Caller.
Very, very, very supportive listener of the pod.
One of our OG roomies, actually.
So
Truly.
happy to be here.
No,
Love
probably
it.
like a founding roomie. She actually
a
helped
founding
us
father.
find the house that we all live in. Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
And I've been asking for merch for a very long
Oh,
time.
yes.
So,
Well, one of our Patreon
Yeah.
subscribers.
Trying to support the cause.
Yeah.
Well, this is a let's not jump.
Hello.
Excuse me. I'm getting ahead of myself. What's good, my dude?
Should I kick it off?
Please.
Kick it off.
What's good, my dude? So, roomies, if you recall, Chris and I are in a little fantasy football league, and it just came to a conclusion, and I wanted to share the outcome.
Of course you did.
For any doubters, haters out there, we just wanted to share who came out on top.
Yeah. So just full disclosure, Chris and I made it to the championship round.
Mm-hmm.
We were the final 2.
We were the final 2.
So at the end,
How did that happen? I don't know.
how
It was
many?
meant to be.
Was it
Written
10
in
or
the
12 of
stars.
us? 10.
10 of us.
There was 10 of us to start, and I wasn't even there for the draft.
No.
I auto-drafted.
You did auto-draft.
So when we started, I thought for sure, I just want my money back. That was my goal. That's always my goal.
Sure. Yeah.
I just want my money back for the pot, So come to find out, 10 or how many weeks later, 14 weeks later or whatever, it's me and Hannah.
We're like, how did you get here?
Yeah, I was like, you? Look at us.
And I won. No, it came down
it
to
was very close.
Like the literal
The
last
quarter.
point.
Nail biter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were going back and forth.
Yeah.
So I thought for sure I had it.
I thought you did too. Honestly, you should have.
Yeah.
I just got very lucky at the end.
Well, it
At
went
the
back
end.
and forth for quite some time.
Yeah. Heather was a spectator.
Oh,
yes.
yes. Oh, yes.
Because
So-
Eric, Heather's husband, was also in our league.
Also in the league.
He was the champion last year. So
And yeah, just for anyone who maybe doubted our ability to choose teams.
yeah. Also, if you maybe want to learn more about fantasy football, we do have an app out where we go into fantasy football.
We should do like a refresher for that.
We should. Yeah.
Because that's kind of an outdated one. But
Yeah, so that was good for me.
you
maybe
won-
not for you, but
Hey,
good for
I got-
me.
Hey, second place in
I got my money back and a little
bit.
There you go.
more,
I got
so,
$100.
So
Woohoo.
Yeah.
Do you guys do a punishment for last place?
We tried to last season, but the loser didn't do any.
Did not
didn't follow.
comply.
Like, wouldn't participate.
So I kind of want to bring it up because low-key, some of the punishments are so funny. I saw this one guy on TikTok, RIP, that that we'll get into that.
Yeah.
But for his, he had to do 30 days of get ready with me videos.
oh my god, that's funny.
That's gnarly.
That's so funny.
So he was like, get ready with me while I talk about how I lost fantasy football. And he's like actually putting on makeup but like he doesn't know what he's doing.
Sure.
And he's just like talking through
Oh,
it.
that's funny.
It's just I don't know if the people in our group would necessarily be down.
don't
like, I
think
think
so.
a lot of us would, but then there's
Yeah.
a few that were like,
I feel like you got to set that up front.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I feel like if you're like, hey, if you're participating, FYI.
This is what's
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
expected.
like motivating.
Ironically, the two people who would be most willing
Who
to
would do the punishment?
we won.
We were busy.
We were busy winning. Sorry.
Because the first year we did it, the punishment was supposed to be that the champion chose a song for the loser to make,
To make a music video.
to.
And Hannah and I were
funny.
like,
We're like,
we were foaming at, we were like, yeah,
I'm like, please,
can't wait to
I'll do any
lose.
song. But then I made it to the champion
And
again.
I got my money back, so
Yeah.
you know, too
There it
busy
is.
winning over here.
I guess
Yeah.
we're just really good at fantasy football. So, anywho, what's
Anywho,
good with you, my dude?
Well, I just want to touch on something you brought up.
oh yes,
TikTok.
TikTok. But should
Don't know. TikTok was banned for 12 hours last night or whatever as of recording this. So you literally couldn't get on the app, and it said, what was the note? Like, sorry, you can't get on here,
yeah.
but we're looking
President Trump
is gonna get it back.
Come back and save us all.
Yeah,
And we're like, weird, but okay. And then we woke up this morning
it's back.
and it's back thanks to President
President Trump,
Trump.
and says
And we're
that.
like, oh, that's even weirder. What
Yeah.
is this?
Well, especially since he's like not president yet.
I know.
Like it's a very odd.
Odd thing to say.
Yeah.
But I did love Twitter or
Mhm.
X or whatever it is for those 12
one calls
hours
it X.
was just unhinged.
Oh,
There was
yeah.
one that I loved, and it was this someone from America was like, hey, anybody like out of the country, can you tell me what's going on TikTok? And it was just like screenshots of comments on videos that were like, it's so peaceful like here. And everyone's being nice to each other. And then someone was like, it kind of feels like Thanos snapped his fingers and the whole country is gone.
you know?
And I was like, wait, this is kind of funny.
That's funny. Oh man. Well, anyway, it's back apparently,
Full force.
Yeah.
and I truly don't know what that was. Any thoughts?
No,
Theories? AJ?
I like literally don't know anything about it.
Okay.
So I have nothing to offer except I know that AJ is fluent now. And
in Mandarin.
Because of Red Note?
I know
I
that
love it.
AJ's famous now on Red Note.
Yeah, they call it Xiaoheng Shu. They call it Xiaoheng Shu in China, which translates to Little Red Book, but we call it
Red Note.
here.
Interesting.
Wait. Okay, that's tender.
That is tender.
I love all the comments, like all the things you posted, like you're a beautiful American boy.
I know. Oh my god, that one killed me. It said you're the most beautiful
Beautiful
American
American
boy
boy."
I've ever seen.
Oh.
With sparkles in your eyes.
Whoa.
It killed me.
It was like a Chinese man.
Yeah.
That's like it was the best.
And the greeting card, that was
Yeah.
Kind.
Oh my
that
gosh.
has to be your Christmas
My-
card this year.
Please. Oh my gosh,
I'm
that's so
gonna print
funny.
those out and mail them.
There you
Yeah,
go.
please. I would love one. I would
For
put
the
that
kindness,
I would put that on
love.
my fridge so fast. Oh, what a time.
Anyway, what's good with you, my dude?
I think really just that since I'm in higher education, I'm still on vacation.
Okay.
I've been on vacation since December 13th. And let me tell
Wow.
you,
Since Taylor Swift's birthday?
I am well rested, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think still being able to like sleep in.
Yeah.
Because like as an adult, isn't that like, that's
Uh-huh.
the real
Yeah.
gold is being able to sleep, right?
Yeah.
So just being able to sleep in is.
Love that for you.
Love
Yeah.
that. And
Love
you
that for
just
me
went
too.
on a trip too.
Oh yeah, I went to Hawaii for a
Yeah.
conference. That was all a part of it. But
Wow.
you know, conference
Which
life.
island?
Oahu.
Okay.
Not my fave, but
Right.
but we went and it was
Still Hawaii.
It's still Hawaii.
Yeah.
You know, you're still on a tropical island.
Of course.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
coins.
No, still Hawaii.
Yes. Yes.
That's awesome.
All right. Well, should we get into
Well,
it?
Hello.
Oh, I'm so sorry. What's good with me?
Yeah.
Okay. Can I just
We want to know about you
I know.
too.
I just want to relay one story. So one of my coworkers, she gave me permission to share this story.
Oh.
She said, talk about this on the pod. I was like, okay, it's a weird story to talk about, but here we go. Her sister, one of my coworkers, her sister, she got pregnant. I'm gonna share the story of how she got pregnant.
Intimate.
Yeah. Good, because I don't know how it works, actually.
Where do babies come from, Chris?
First, let me set the scene here, okay?
Please, in like great detail.
This is taking place in the Inland Empire.
What?
So local.
Like San Bernardino County, okay? Apparently there's an app where you can, it's like a offer up, but for sperm donors. I didn't know this existed.
Oh no, news to me.
So she goes on this app and she like, she scrolls, and if she finds someone she likes, she says, hey, can I have your sperm?
She's shopping.
And I can't remember if she said if they pay for it, if they just like do it for free, or like maybe like a very low, like $100 or something crazy. I don't know. I can't remember if she said it was, if it was free or not. So I guess they like set a time on the app, like, hey, I'm coming over to get the sperm. So and I guess all the guy does is like he makes his deposit that whenever that like before she gets there.
It has to be fresh.
Oh, I'm like,
It's gotta be
house
fresh.
or like, what are we talking about?
No,
here?
yeah, like at his house.
Okay.
And it's like Craigslist or something. You like roll up,
No.
and it's like, okay, I'm here.
Not Craigslist.
I feel very dirty already.
He rolls up, and he just comes out
Not
with this.
offer
He
up
comes
for
out. He comes out with the little, I guess, a jar or whatever you put it in, right? And then they make the exchange, and then she's on her merry way.
Mm-hmm.
But this time, because this is like it was multiple attempts, so this is like attempt number 4 or whatever. So she has someone with her driving, and so she's like, I got to do this right now.
She
Like-
drinks it.
No, drinks. She's like, I don't want to waste any time. I want it like fresh.
So Hannah, I know you just said you don't know where babies come from, but that is not how it
So
works.
she basically
In the car?
she's in the passenger seat. She's got someone else driving.
Okay.
She just undresses her pants or whatever, and then she's turkey basting it. She's got her legs up in the air, and she's just turkey basting the sample in, just like right there on the way home. Legs up in the passenger seat.
Legs up in the passenger seat. Is it casual?
And then like all the way home, she's got her legs up because she wants it
You
to
have
take
to let it.
gravity.
Yeah.
Man, imagine seeing that in the car next. Like, whoa!
Long story short, my coworker has a niece. And this niece, this niece has been alive for years now. This is how it was done.
How did this come up in casual
I
conversation
don't remember.
with a coworker?
Didn't they just leave the car parked outside his house?
Hannah,
Oh, okay.
That's why I said
couldn't
I have
tell
so
you.
many questions. I'm not going to
Yeah,
ask them,
yeah.
but so many questions.
but the image of her in the passenger seat, like on the highway, legs up,
Got to do what you got to do.
freshly fertilized.
So that guy just made so much
Yeah.
money. Just
Well, no. Well, I don't know.
Only $100.
Yeah, but I don't know how many people. You're right. How many people?
Value yourself more.
I know, right? Especially if you've got like a good health profile,
Yeah.
you know?
You got a good sperm count? That goes a long way. nowadays.
Yeah.
I want to know what the app this is that they're using. You know? Cassie's looking it up. Anyway, long story short, she has a daughter, and my coworker has a niece, and she loves her.
Wow.
So
okay.
I guess that a happy ending.
Wow, literally.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just wanted
Okay.
to share that.
That's
little
very
tidbit.
funny. That is very
I
funny.
think that's very fitting. Not just going into this episode,
Yeah,
Is it?
Yeah.
just talking about personality
Because
types.
I wonder what Enneagram he was actually.
The donor
Yeah,
or
the donor.
the driver?
All of them involved.
Oh gosh. Anyway, Hannah, tell us what we're talking about today.
Oh my gosh. Well, we are so fortunate to have the queen of Enneagram.
Oh, I know.
The queen herself.
I am not.
The queen.
I am not.
Queen Enneagram. And we're excited to get into it. I don't know I have a very limited knowledge of
As do
Enneagram.
I feel like you and I have probably the same level of
Yeah.
knowledge.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I first took the test probably when I first met you.
Oh, really?
No,
Because-
did we not take it? way before.
Yeah, I think you had a
Because
little
that's
bit
how
of
we
a
found
knowledge
out
of
what
it.
we are.
I don't know when I did.
Like 10 years ago.
Oh, you know what? Actually,
Yeah. That's when we found
yes.
out.
Okay. Yeah. Because I remember being like super sad with my results.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't want to be what you were.
No.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And then yeah, and so I think, but I didn't really put much research into it. And then I think when we started hanging out is when we like started talking about it. You had the book, and then I was reading through the book. Yeah, all this stuff.
Okay.
So
So yeah, I think we took probably the same test like years and years ago.
yeah.
And we found our numbers, and I was fine with mine.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I love that.
Oh, great. Now you're going to tell me all the bad stuff about it.
No.
Anyway, so this is Late to the Party Enneagram.
Yeah.
Okay.
Heather is our resident expert.
Yes.
Kick it off, Heather. Take us away. Give us a little intro.
So I'm not the queen of the Enneagram. I must confess this. I must confess. However, by trade, I am a community college counselor.
Okay.
And counselors at community college do a couple different kinds of counseling. So one is like academic. We help people pick their classes, figure out what they want to do, blah, blah, blah. One is personal counseling. You know, college students have a lot of crisis happening. you all remember that time of life
Right.
where you're a young
Right.
person trying to figure out and answer the big questions.
Mhm.
And then the other is like career counseling, which you can imagine when you're talking to a lot of young people about what they should be doing. They're always like, with
They
the
have no
rest of
idea.
their life.
They don't know.
Yeah.
And so a lot of that comes with exploring like, who are you?
Mm.
And so we're trained in a lot of different personality assessments, different career assessments, that sort of
To
thing.
help guide them.
Yeah, because I feel like when you know yourself, it's easier for you to figure out what you're looking for, what you're interested in.
Exactly.
And so there's a lot of self-exploration that goes along with career counseling. So because of that, I'm certified in a bunch of different personality assessments and do training and stuff because we do have to be trained in this, right?
Yeah.
Now, the Enneagram is not one that you can get like certified in. Well, there's a bunch of different people that certify, but there's not like an official governing board, you know what I mean?
Okay.
So I'm not officially certified in Enneagram, but
Okay.
I did dive into it because it's a personality assessment. And
Okay.
some of us love being put in a box. Like you get to tell, oh, I'm a this, I'm a that.
Yeah.
And then there are some people very
That's
resistant.
again that. Yeah.
Do not put me in that
Yeah.
box, right?
Yes.
So for listeners, if you feel yourself resistant, totally
And for the record,
okay,
I like
totally
putting
okay.
myself in a box, but if someone
not
else
others.
tries to do it,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. Well, and I just find I'm really fascinated with understanding myself better, understanding others, understanding how I interact with people, how we all interact is just naturally part of what I'm trained in. So anyway, so I dove into Enneagram. A mutual friend of Hannah and I's introduced me, and so I really dove in, and it ended up leading into me kind of really getting into it. I've done some corporate trainings for different manager associations, departments, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, I'm just here to share with you. So it's basically a personality assessment
Okay.
or personality theory that we're going to go through.
Okay.
Perfect.
And I just want to preface and tell our listeners here, the first training I do is normally a full 3 hours. So we are not doing that today.
Listeners, buckle up.
Not happening.
Get those
Not
notebooks
happening.
out.
So I'm telling you that because I want you to remember that we are doing a light whisper of the Enneagram today. We are doing a very light overview.
Overview.
Okay.
So there is so much more. So if any of you are well versed in Enneagram and you're going over, oh, she's forgetting this.
Yeah.
No, we're purposely just doing
For
a very
the purpose of time.
Yeah.
Yes, doing a very introductory.
We could have you back if we
Yes.
decide
Yes.
we
if
want
you
more.
love this stuff,
Yeah.
I would love to come back in the future.
Yeah.
So yeah, are you guys ready to
I'm
Ready.
so
Are you guys ready to
excited.
dive in?
Yeah, because I think this is like, because I've done the Myers-Briggs
Yep.
and this one's definitely my favorite or
Yeah.
the one I've resonated most with. So I'm
Yeah.
excited to dive in more.
Me
So.
too. Yeah, I find that a lot of places, like a lot of workplaces, do Strengths Finder or True Colors
Yeah.
or the Myers-Briggs.
Yeah.
And the Enneagram you'll see as we go through it, if you've done any of those other ones at work, this one's a little bit deeper. And I will say can be a little bit more intimate or a little more intense.
And I will
So-
say, at least in my experience, who loves the Enneagram? Freaking Christians
Ooh.
love
Well,
the
yes.
Enneagram.
Yeah.
Are we
Yes,
gonna
yes.
touch on that?
Well, no,
No, okay.
I'm not going to.
And I don't know why, but like for some reason, like Christians love it.
Yeah.
Well, I think. Well, I'm sure that's a very complex. That's
Yeah.
a whole other episode.
That's
Folks,
what
we're not.
no, I'm not.
I'm
touching
really
that.
That's
save
not
that for
really
the
for
next
me.
episode.
Yeah, not really for me. Okay, so let's dive in a little
Okay.
bit. Please ask questions as we go.
Okay.
I will say that I want to invite Hannah to share experiences as well because
Yeah.
I do think that telling personal experiences about each one of the ones if you have is really helpful to connecting
Okay.
to it.
Okay.
But I also want to say that I have certain numbers that repeat in my life of people around me. So I'm really well versed in those.
Yeah.
And then there's some folks that I just don't
Ooh.
encounter as often.
Okay.
So I
Yes.
might not have the best. So if you think
Okay.
you have some, you're like, oh, that sounds like so-and-so,
Uh-huh.
chime in.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay,
Chime
okay,
in.
okay, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So essentially the Enneagram is, like I said, a personality kind of theory, if you will, that what makes it different is explains what your true motivations are in life, like your underlying beliefs and motivations as opposed to just your behaviors. Because a lot of personality assessments are like, oh, if you act this way, it's probably this. But this is a little bit deeper. It's a little bit more on like what actually is motivating you behind the behaviors that you have.
Scary.
Okay.
I know we're going deep today, right? So I think that knowing what motivates you and understanding what may be motivating the people around you can really help you connect in a little bit of a different way, because you may understand why someone's responding the way that they are, and you may be able to like give them a little bit more grace, or you may be able to like, if you're really close, call them out on that,
Yeah.
or like help them see that so that you guys can better interact, and it allows you to kind of strengthen your relationships and just better understand each other.
Yeah.
So I think that that's one of the best ones, because when you're just looking at people's like behaviors, it's a little bit like half the story.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
But if you understand what really motivates
The
you.
motivation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
So essentially there's 9 different types. So yes, buckle up, folks. There are 9 different personality types. And there's kind of a image of how they're all connected and all of that sort of stuff. And those 9 types are actually broken up into 3 different triads.
Okay.
So we're gonna get a little deep here for a second, okay? Because each one of the triads has a true underlining emotion or motivation that is tied to all 3 of those types in that triad.
Okay.
Okay.
So 9 types divided into 3 groups, if you
Okay.
will.
Okay.
So the first group is going to be for types 8, types 9, and types 1.
Both of you.
I'm a 9.
This is where I feel like you'll be able to relate to if this is really your true type. This is where when people are confused about what type they are, I'm always like, go back to the triad and see if it rings true for you.
Okay.
So this is the gut triad. What that means is you truly feel like you can trust your gut. You have a gut instinct about things.
Okay.
You really do like have a feeling about something that maybe you don't understand right away, or you can't always explain it, but like you've got a gut instinct initially about a lot of stuff.
Okay.
Now, the underlying emotional struggle about the gut triad is anger. So there's anger in each one of these types. Okay, but they handle it completely differently. Well, and this is where I think this is where it resonates, right? Because I do think each type handles it completely different. Okay. So I'm gonna start with 8s.
Okay.
8s feel like anger is just another emotion. Like it's not something to be scared about. Like anger is like happiness. Like it just comes in, it goes. They don't hide from it. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
Like it's just another type of emotion that you're like rolling with.
Okay.
Okay. It doesn't scare them.
Okay.
Okay. 1s, we did 8, so we'll do 9s.
Yeah.
So 9s tend to be, they bury that anger. They pretend it doesn't exist. It is deep. It is deep down. Okay. So, and then they tend.
I fear that is true.
Chris
Here we
is a
go.
9. Our roomies, Chris is a 9.
Well, we believe Chris
We
is a 9.
believe.
We will
Yeah.
see. We will see.
Right.
And then they tend to like explode a little bit in these very passive aggressive ways. So they're not very direct. They'll have that anger, they bury it deep down, and then it erupts in these ways that are a little passive aggressive.
Okay.
You're relating to this?
Am I passive?
I'm
aggressive? Not usually. Well, I will have moments.
Yeah.
Okay, this is not a call us out on each other podcast. I'm just gonna say. Okay. So now let's go to 1s. So 1s, I'm a 1, everybody. And we relate more to being like frustrated and annoyed, like often.
Yeah.
We don't always recognize it as anger, but it's always chilling there. We're on a low boil all the time, but we are, you know what I mean? And so, but we recognize it or call it more like, I'm just frustrated. I just find that annoying. We're not as comfortable with anger like an 8 is.
Okay.
Okay. So again, the gut triad got very instinct.
Okay.
Like you go with things, you believe something, you're like, I just know this is right. But also you have this relationship with anger that the other types don't necessarily have. Okay. Now, does everybody experience anger? Yes, folks. But it's just a different type of relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So that's our gut triad. So 8, 9, and 1, gut triad, instinct,
Got it.
anger.
Got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So our next triad or our next little group is called the heart triad. It's called the feeling center. This is our 2s, 3s, and 4s. Time to out Hannah. So they really receive information through their heart, and they have a lot of reaction. These folks, so we had anger for our first group. The emotional struggle for this group is shame. I told you we were going a little heavy first, right? This is just what it is. So all 2, 3s, and 4s have a unique relationship with shame. And they each experience shame in very different ways.
Okay.
So 2s tend to feel shame about like not doing enough for others, not doing enough, not serving enough, not being there for their friends enough, not being a good daughter or a good son or a good husband. They have a lot of shame around not doing enough for other people.
Do you relate to this? Are you not? Oh my God. Get the tissues. Get the tissues right now.
But this is why I say this personality theory is very different. It's deeper, right? It's not just behaviors. It's how you feel and it's how you experience these underlying things. So our 3s feel shame about achieving enough, being successful enough. I don't know if we should out people who aren't here, Hannah, but no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. He's fine. He knows his type too. Yeah. He's well versed. But yeah, these people really need to feel like they are reaching for it. They're achieving something. It matters, like making a difference type of a thing.
Sorry to interrupt, but are you gonna? I know each one has a name. Are we?
We are. We're gonna get there. Perfect. We're just triading right now.
Perfect.
We're gonna go through each one.
Triading.
Yeah. Well, and I think the underlying relationship with an emotion is how people differentiate, because a lot of the different areas and different triads have similar behaviors, which is why I start with the base feelings, because when we start to get into the behaviors, we'll be like, oh, but this one sounds a lot like this one. Yeah. It does, but the reason is what's different.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So our 4s tend to wonder if like they are enough. They have shame around feeling like they are enough for this world, if they are enough for these people. But all of these people, I know, I'm so sorry, guys.
No, this is great.
It gets lighter. We're starting with the heavy.
It's great.
But all of these, our 2, 3s, and 4s, they all want to create significance or meaning in the life of people around them in the world. They want to leave a mark on life, on the world. So that's our heart triad, 2, 3s, and 4s, okay? So here's our final triad. So these are going to be our 5, 6, and 7s. So this is the head triad. So this is the thinking folks, right? Goes along with our opening story.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yes, right? So these are our thinkers. These are the people who process things like thoughtfully in their mind before they respond to stuff. So they're like the deep thinkers of the world, right? So we've got our emotion people, right? We've got our instinctual people, and these are people who are logic-based folks, okay?
Couldn't be me.
Me neither, Chris. Me neither, my friend. So their emotional struggle is fear. Okay, so these folks have a relationship with fear. Yes, and they're, again, they relate to it all differently. So our 5s have a fear of having their resources depleted or their personal space invaded. So having their stuff or their things or their time being taken from them. Okay. You can see how somebody who was like that might react differently than someone else. Someone who's a giver who wants to make sure they're doing everything for you would react completely different. So 6s have a strong connection with fear, and it dictates how they move through the world. So these are our people who are always like prepping for things, like they're afraid of stuff. They've got everything in their bag because they're always ready in case something happens. So they literally move through the world differently because of their relationship with fear. Okay. And then our last one, our 7s, it's completely different. They actually have a fear of like emotional pain or negativity. Like they don't like things that are negative. These are, I just want to talk about good stuff. Like their fear is like of negativity, of, just like emotions in general. Like, so that's their fear. Okay. And they all have a desire to maintain security. So all of these types are trying to maintain security. Okay. So this is our, again, we're starting with the triads just because I want you to know the main motivations of each one of these groups. And then as we go through each one, you'll be able to see that.
Cool. I didn't even know about the triads.
I didn't know
this is
about
awesome.
that either.
Hey. So something we're not getting into today, but I do want to let you guys know is that as you're listening, you may hear a lot of things that you relate to. And it's because the Enneagram is connected. So there are these 9 types, but each type tends to go to a different number when they're in stress. The negative side of a number in stress and a positive side of a different number in stress.
Okay.
So we're not going to get into that today. That's, again, much deeper.
Yeah.
But as you're hearing this, if you're going, well, I think I'm this and I'm that and I'm this, it's because they are connected in these different ways. So that's just something to know. Okay? So we're going to dive into each one. You guys ready?
Yes.
So far, so good. Okay, so we're going to start with our heart triad. We're going to start with our 2s. Okay? So we're going to start with our 2s, and they do have names. So Chris mentioned that they do have names. I tend to not be attached as much to the names because I do find that like people call them all different types of things.
Right.
And sometimes you might be like, oh, I don't like that, or I don't want to be that. And then it's hard. You get that like feeling like, is this my right type? I don't think I like that. So I don't tend to love the names. That's why I tend to go, you'll hear me refer as a 2 or as a 1.
Got it.
And I find that just keeps it neutral.
Got it.
But if you love your type and your name, bless, embrace. But I just don't find them to always be as helpful. It's just kind of more of an introduction.
That's
it's just
good
like
to know
a
moving
label,
forward.
right?
Yeah.
So the 2 is called the giver, or sometimes called the helper.
Okay.
Which again, I also have a Christian background, which is just yucky to me.
hate it.
The
That's
idea of
why-
like the helper is just so gross.
Yes,
to me.
that's why when
Women
I
who come from Christian churches, we're averse.
Okay, so when I took the test, I remember getting the result and then like, Googling it, and it was like, this is the most common for Christian women. And that just gave me the ick so much.
Yes.
So I hated it. I hated it for a long time. So
that is exactly why I don't use the labels. Like people will be like, oh, I don't even remember what some of them are.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, oh, which one's that? Like, just tell me the number. Because I'm not as, that's not what it cements to me.
For sure.
Okay?
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay.
So these folks, their core motivation is they want to feel loved and appreciated. That's what they want. It motivates them to express love towards other people. They like to use their words and actions to this. They like to show up for you. They like to show up and show you that they love you. But they do it because they want you to love them. They want you to value them. They want you to appreciate them. Because again, their relationship is, I'm afraid I'm not doing enough. Okay? So the purpose of the serving is specific, right? Their deepest fear is being alone, being unloved, being unworthy. And they cope with this fear by like trying to take care of every single other person's needs around them. Very exhausting. Right? But it is, right? So that's what their core motivation is. Now here's the personality stuff. And this is where the behaviors you'll see a lot of overlapping in the others. These people are very warm. They are very welcoming. They are, they've always got a smile for you. They make great eye contact. They're very approachable. They radiate kindness. Everybody's going, yes, this is Hannah. They do tend to volunteer a lot, right? They're like, they love to, be active in things and very caring, very nurturing, great team player, that sort of stuff. Very patient.
Okay.
You can see if you're trying to like engage with each other's, that's kind of what it would be.
Right.
So again, these folks are really just trying to be loved, be appreciated, and be worthy of it by doing things for other people.
Got it.
Make sense?
Yeah.
So far, so good?
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to move on to our 3. And so these folks are called the achiever or the performer, which again, I don't always love the names, it sounds, a certain way. So these folks are motivated by, they love attention and they love to be admired by others. They really want to be seen in high regard from other people. Okay. And these are the folks, remember, that they have this relationship to success and achieving.
Right.
So they strive to be successful, and it's because they want other people to pay attention and to admire them. And so that's where it comes from.
Interesting. Okay.
So their deepest fear is being a failure, right? Like being seen as someone who's not successful. Okay. And they cope with this fear by looking for ways to like win in life, looking for ways to show people that they're valuable, right? So you could see that this person may be volunteering a lot too, but for a completely different purpose, right? This person may be front and center as well.
Oh, a different motivation.
Different motivation. So what drives them is very different. So these people, some of their personality traits is they are very aware of social interactions. These people are great in social situations, but it's because they're very aware of how other people are perceiving them. So whereas our 2s are like super warm and welcoming, a 3 could also be warm and welcoming, but it's not. It's because they want to make sure that you think they're warm and welcoming. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like
okay.
they want you to
Okay.
think something about them. They're always aware of how people are perceiving them.
Okay.
You can imagine how heavy that would be.
Yeah.
To like walk through
It sounds
life with.
exhausting.
Right.
It really does.
Yeah.
And they always like to have a wide range of accomplishments. So they tend to have their hands in a million different pots. But it's because they're always trying to achieve that success.
Okay.
They're always trying to show people how successable they can be at something. They're always very busy. Tend to be on the go.
Are you
a lot.
relating to this?
Yeah. You diagnosed me before you even started talking.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
They do have jam-packed schedules. They like to be busy. They tend to have a lot of interests, like I said. They tend to be very aware of how people perceive their physical appearance. So they tend to be aware of that. You won't ever see really a 3 like out there looking like a mess. Like a sloppy mess. 3's never out there looking like that, right? Very charismatic, make a great first impression.
Okay.
Like they're popular people.
Yeah.
They are. They're very popular people. But you can imagine it would be very exhausting to
Right.
be
Yeah.
so aware of everything.
Yes.
Right? Okay. So we're going to move on to our 4. So this is our last one in our heart triad, right?
triad.
So these folks, their title is the individualist or the romantic. Okay. These folks are very unique, very creative, very in their feels. Think of that artist stereotype, right? So they are motivated by a desire to be individual and unique. Like I am me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And they do this and they show this through creative outlets a lot of times.
Okay.
That's why that artist stereotype is what I brought in. But because they identify so much with like aspects of their personality being so different from other people that they feel like they have to celebrate it and like show it. Okay. I don't know if anybody knew anybody growing up that they were just like, they always wore like really weird clothes or they always did something really unique or really different. And it was because they wanted to be unique. Like that's this person, right?
Yeah.
They want to show, but it's because they really do see themselves as different that they want to show that.
Okay.
Okay. So let's see. They really feel like they're always missing out on certain aspects of happiness because they are so different and see themselves as so different. So there is a bit of like loneliness that comes with this. So their deepest fear is that other people would recognize them as different in a negative way, which is why they're always to show how creative they are and how positive it can be that they're unique and different.
Oh, okay.
But they cope with this fear of like missing out on things and not connecting with others by, again, being so different and wanting people to see them as so special, looking for a niche where they can truly be appreciated in that differentness.
Okay.
But it's it can be very lonely to be
Yeah, I
a
was going to
4.
say, it
Yeah.
sounds kind of solo.
Like isolating.
Yeah. Well, because you think about it, like we're all different.
Yeah.
Right? But these people feel different.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
we're all so different. Like everybody,
Yeah.
like every single
Yeah.
person in the world's so different, but these people feel
Yeah.
different. And they do feel like other people will see them as different and not want to connect.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So some of their personality traits is going to be like they're very, they tend to look different. They might dress different or they might use certain lingo that's different. Like they will truly show you that they are like a different duck,
Yeah.
if you will. And they're very proud of it.
Okay.
They tend to have artistic outlets of one way. I think you describe these folks as quirky. Like when you meet someone and you're like, this is really quirky. But they
Okay.
tend to be endearing because they are like, they seem so okay
Yeah.
with their creative side.
Yeah.
That's one of the things of the 4 is I feel like they're very misunderstood because they don't understand how other people might be like, wow, you're so cool because you're
Yeah.
so creative.
Right,
But
yeah.
they feel so different for being
Oh,
Yeah.
creative.
Yeah.
Okay.
But these folks really do have a strong sense of identity because you can imagine even with carrying all of this, they're like, I know who I am.
Yeah.
This is who I am and I'm going to stand in that every day.
Yeah.
So they tend to have a strong sense of identity, but like deep down, they do tend to feel a little empty.
Okay. Got it. Oh.
Okay, so I've got a little game for us. We're going to stop. We're going to pause.
Yay. Okay.
And we're going to do a little game.
Okay.
I'm going to talk you through it.
Okay.
So we've got some pictures that we're looking at here, some fictional characters, if you will.
Yes.
And we're going to talk through. So there's 3 types we just covered, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to talk you through it.
Okay.
And then we've got 4 characters, and we're going to try to see who we think which number is what. Okay. So let's, so we've got Don Draper from Mad Men.
Okay.
Right? We've got Samwise from Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
We've got Hagrid from Harry Potter. And we've got Bella Swan.
Oh, Bella.
Okay. So let's start with our twos, right? So if we've got these characters.
Okay.
And by the way, these are all debatable answers, right? Like, we're never going to ask these people what their true motivation
The fans are going to come in.
I know. Well, and that's the thing, guys. Please
Light
chime
up the
in.
comments.
So our twos are our helper, our giver, show up for people from this. So keep in mind, we've got 3 types and we've got 4. So we're going to have duplicates of some,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So who do we think would be a 2 from this group of folks?
For sure, Sam.
Samwise.
Yep.
And Hagrid?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Look at you. Straight out the bat, getting the 2. Okay. Yes. So good. Yes. So I know. Teacher giving you a pop quiz, right? I hope it's a fun one. Okay, so our achiever. Who's our person obsessed with success?
Done.
Don Draper,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
And who's in our feels? Who's our 4?
Oh, sweet Bella.
Sweet Bella Swan.
She's been through so much.
Sweet Bella
Yeah.
Swan.
Where the hell
You been, Loca?
Right? She is definitely in her feels.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's fun.
That's good.
No problem. Okay, so that's our first triad. How you guys feeling?
Good.
How are you feeling, pal?
I'm okay. I'm okay. I always think like maybe I'm not a 2, and then I like read something and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I'm
I
a
really
2.
am.
Yeah.
I really am. Well, and that's the thing is with Enneagram, there's like a soft spot for it, and then there's a sharpness to it.
Yeah.
And I do feel like people talk about like, oh, how will I know it's my type? And I'm like, it'll sting a little more than the others.
Yeah.
And because all of them, you'll see little things with it.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
Okay, are we ready to move on?
Yes.
Okay, we're moving back to our head triad. So these are our
Ayo.
thinkers. These are our logistical thinkers, right? Okay, so our type 5 is called the investigator
Okay.
or the observer.
Okay, that sounds dope.
I know, right? Like there's this little name.
I actually switch.
So their main motivation, right? Their top motivation is to be competent and to understand their environment or what's going on. They want the data. They want the details. They want to really know what's happening about things.
Okay.
They don't like, these are the people who like being a know-it-all, like in the best way.
Oh.
Okay. That motivation drives them to be in a constant state of wanting to learn things, wanting to gain knowledge, asking questions, accumulating information.
Okay.
Okay. Deepest fear for these folks is being overwhelmed by their own actual needs and by the needs of others.
Okay.
Because you can imagine if you're a deep thinker and then you're married to someone that has big feelings, their fear is like, I don't know what to do with these feelings
Yeah.
because I'm a thinker. Yes. So that's a very simplistic example.
Yeah.
But to cope with this fear, they tend to be a little more withdrawn from relationships. They don't really let people like in, you know? And they tend to maintain a very minimalistic lifestyle because they like to know everything about everything that they have, right? And they focus on the intellectual types or areas of things to kind of escape from the demands of the world.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So again, gathering information, wanting to know things. They like to be logical. They like to think things through, right? So some of their key personality traits is sometimes these folks can actually appear kind of lost in thought or like absent-minded because they're thinking about all the things. They're thinking about all the stuff and they know so many things.
Yeah.
So they tend to be like, they can kind of focus off for a little bit. So it can be, you'd be like, hello, are you listening? You know what I mean? And they are. They're actually thinking a lot, right?
Yeah.
But they can kind of appear that way.
Okay.
It's hard to really get to know them. This is a person that you may ask, like, you know how you ask somebody a question like, oh, what'd you do this weekend? And you get into like, oh, I was at my cousin's wedding. It was so beautiful. Like
Yeah.
this person's not going to tell you anything personal about themselves, right? Like
Oh,
it's hard to
interesting.
crack.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So they're going to be like, it was fine. How was yours? You know, very short, very succinct. They tend to know a lot about specific subjects and they can give a lot of insight or like over detailed responses to things because they know so much about something.
Okay.
So, but they have a lot of clear boundaries that can feel a little cold
Oh.
because they don't know what to do with other people's needs. And that's one of their biggest fears is not being able to meet those needs. They tend to not give a lot of avenues for that to be asked of them.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's our data folks. That's our investigator.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is fun because now I'm thinking about the people I know
I was-
that
yeah,
are
I'm trying to
different
think,
types,
too.
and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, oh, this is like a lot of insight into how you operate.
Yeah.
Well, and I will say when I do this with teams of people, so it's people who all work together.
Yeah.
And you can understand how when you know your
Oh,
coworkers
yeah,
better,
yeah.
you know how to
Uh-huh.
respond to them and you understand why they're responding to you in the way that they are.
So you're kind of doing a corporate retreat for
For us.
the
For
we used
you
to
all.
live together.
This is
Yes.
professional development
this
Because
right
you
now.
all know, right?
We're having
AJ,
a PD day.
We're still trying to crack AJ still, right?
Yeah.
So, okay. So we've got a 2, a 3, and a 9 to
Yeah,
come, we
correct.
think.
Well, let's see what she.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not here to type anyone. Let me be clear. No one can understand your true motivation more than you.
Uh-oh.
So deep. Okay. So type 6.
Okay.
This is where this one's called the skeptic.
Oh.
I don't love the label.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't like
I don't
that.
love the label.
Yeah.
So the core motivation of the skeptic, they're motivated by safety, by security, by trying to make sure everything's good and everything's in line. They seek support and reassurance from other people that they're going to be good, that you can trust the people that are around you, that they're going to be loyal to you. But they're very into safety and security in their relationships, safety and security in their home, safety and security in their workplace. So it's all about feeling safe and stability and security. Okay. And their deepest fear, being unprepared. Being caught off guard, right? Like having something happen where they don't know what the outcome will be, or not knowing if they'll know the answer.
So how do they?
Right? So they cope with this, to answer your question, they cope with this fear by trying to be prepared for
Right.
every possible turn of events.
That's crazy.
Everything that could come up. They always like to have everything. They've thought of every scenario.
I'm trying to think
Wow.
of someone who I know who's like this. I don't think I know anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think that a lot of people, and I'm just going to say this, not that this
Yeah.
is your type, but I do think like parents tend to see a lot of themselves in this because they're always trying to think of every scenario to protect their
Oh.
child
That makes
or
sense.
every scenario. And I
Yeah.
don't think that means you're a 6.
Yeah.
Right. Again, we're going to see a lot of the same behaviors in
Right,
everybody.
right.
But is your core motivation seeking safety and security?
Okay.
Because I think there's a lot of us. Let me tell you, I'm a gal. I have everything in my bag.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got everything.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
name something, Heather's got it.
Yeah.
I've got
Yeah.
wipes.
Yeah.
I've got everything.
It's
I've
true.
got headache medication. I've got it all, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I am not afraid.
Yeah.
I am not trying to find security and safety. I don't relate to this at all. But I do like to be prepared. So
Got
just
it.
wanting to be prepared
Okay.
doesn't necessarily mean that.
Right,
you're
right,
six,
right.
Okay. So key personality traits, they do tend to have a core group of people because they don't trust just anyone. Because again, safety, security, are you a safe space for me? Are you someone that I trust? They tend to have a really loyal, small social group, very well organized. And people like that person who's always organized. People love saying, oh, go ask so-and-so. They'll have it.
Yeah.
They love that.
Yeah.
People love feeling cared for in this way.
Okay.
They're great at managing finances, great team player for a different reason, right? But they have kind of their tight group of friends and they're very clear communicators because they're trying to figure out what's the safety and security in every single aspect of things. Very detail oriented. So they've got all their bases covered.
Okay.
That's why the skeptic, I feel like that's so. And they are called the enthusiast or the adventurer.
Okay.
fun.
That's
I
fun.
have coined them the party people.
Oh.
I don't know. There's no official term, but these people are the party people. So the core motivation for 7s, more than anything else in the world, they want to avoid feeling bored. They want to avoid feeling sad. They want to avoid feeling uninspired. They
Oh.
want life to be exciting and good and happy all the time. Okay?
Wow.
Deepest fear, getting stuck in a rut, missing out on the good life. Like, these people got FOMO like we have never experienced, folks. Okay? And they cope with this fear by always seeking out things that are exciting, things that are novel, things that are fun. This is your friend that sends you the most crazy, fun events that are going on in your area all the time. They're always going to someplace great, fun, exciting.
Okay.
Right? But they're never really. This isn't the person you're going to go to with like your dark stuff, right? Like on your dark day, you're not going to this friend.
Yeah.
If you do go to this friend, they're going to want to take you somewhere to get you out of that rut, right?
Yeah.
We're not talking about it or sitting in it.
Oh,
Does that make sense?
interesting.
That's why I
Yeah,
call
yeah.
these people the party people because let me tell you, they know what's going on.
Yeah.
And they're always having a good time.
Yeah.
But there is another side to that, right?
Yeah.
Is that they're not always willing to sit in it. Okay. These people are always on the go. So like a 3, that's why I was saying the behaviors can be similar. These people are also always on the go, but for a completely different reason.
Yeah.
Right. They like a lot of different things. These folks can tend to seem almost childlike in the best way because they are always enthusiastic. They have a lot of energy. They're always excited about something.
Yeah.
Like everything seems exciting in their life.
Yeah.
These are the people who like are living Instagram. Their life always seems so exciting,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But they do. They have a lot of things that are going on for them professionally or creative projects, but they are always upbeat, glass half full, like all of that sort of stuff.
Okay,
Right? So
okay.
that's why I call these people the party people,
Yeah.
right? Because
Got it.
in the best way, these people are well liked. Again, they are very popular folks as well, but it's because they seem so positive. They seem so positive all the time.
Okay.
Okay? So that is the end of our head triad.
Okay.
Okay. We've got our next activity. folks.
Yes.
So again, we've got our 5, 6, and 7, right? So this is our 5, 6, and 7. So we've got Peter Pan. We've got Ross Geller from Friends. We've got Batman. And we've got Sherlock Holmes.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
So who is right? He's a scientist.
Yeah.
Again, this can all be very debatable,
Right,
friends.
right. Yeah.
But yes, Ross and Sherlock are both 5s.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So then we've got our 6, who is the skeptic, prepared for anything.
Oh, that's Batman.
Batman.
Right?
Yeah,
Utility
yeah.
belt.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Gotta think for everything.
Yes.
So that leaves
Peter Pan.
who is our party person. I
Yeah.
don't want to grow up.
Yeah.
I want to be
right.
doing something
Yeah,
fun. I want to
yeah.
fight the pirates. I want to
Yeah.
talk to the mermaids, right? I don't want to
Right.
grow up.
Yeah.
So that's Peter Pan.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
I love these activities.
It's fun time, right? Again, I can't wait to hear what everybody else. They're going to be like, no, that is not what
Right.
Batman
Listeners,
is.
please chime in the
Honestly,
comments.
engage.
Chime in. Engage. Okay. So we are rounding it out. We're at our final triad,
my
you guys.
gosh.
We are at our last 3. It goes so quick. Okay. So we're now at our type 8. And they are the challenger.
Okay. Wait, which triad is this?
This is our gut triad.
gut
So these
triad.
are instinctual
Okay.
folks.
Got it. Okay.
People who got a gut feeling and go with it.
Got
okay.
it.
So the 8 is the challenger, also known as the protector.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds aggressive.
You know, I thought I was an 8 for a long time.
Oh, okay. Okay.
These folks are motivated by wanting to be independent, wanting to be in control, wanting to be able to be seen as strong by others.
Mm.
They really hate being seen as weak, so they really tend to reject authority if they don't agree with the stance of things. The gut triad, I don't think I mentioned before, is all very justice oriented. So our 8, 9s, and 1s are all very focused on justice. So 8s,
And we are.
they love also learning things and accumulating knowledge like our investigator, but it's for a completely different purpose. It's because they want to be in control and they want to be independent and they don't want to depend on others.
Yeah.
For
Okay.
that, okay? Their biggest fear is being vulnerable or powerless or like being able to be taken advantage of. And they cope with this by being the strongest in the room and in control the most. We tend to see that this is called the protector because they are always looking to protect. They walk into a room saying, who is not being treated correctly and how can I protect them?
Oh, interesting.
Like that's
Okay.
their goal is always to be protecting others. This is the person who will be the shield. They'll step in front of it. They'll take the bullet every single time. And it's because they really are always their justice is by protecting others. Like that's how they're pursuing justice is by doing what's right for other people.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And yes, these people are often perceived as
Aggressive? Okay.
Which I don't think is always fair. They just
Right.
like this person, you know how there's some people that are like, and again, this is another know-it-all thing. Like these people really do know it all. Like this person knows everything. This is the person who has the legacy knowledge. They've learned it all because they are always wanting to make sure that they are in control of a situation. So they have learned things for a completely different purpose, but they let you know it.
Okay.
Yeah. This person's never the daydreamer. So because remember our investigator was always like lost in thought. 8s are never lost in thought.
Interesting. Okay.
So again, very self-sufficient. They're very confident. They can be seen as
Okay.
kind of fierce in conversation.
Yeah.
they're a very hard worker, lots of stamina, very determined,
Okay.
energetic. Again, these people are also very busy, but it's because they're wanting to be in control of every situation. So they have to be in charge of everything.
Okay.
So their hands are in everything, but again, for a different reason.
Yeah.
Very seen as passionate. Some people see them as stubborn or headstrong because they do know.
Yeah.
They know, you
Yeah.
know? So, but always trying to get control of their environment.
Okay.
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 So those are our 8s. All right. Here's our type 9,
Uh-oh.
known as the peacemaker or the mediator.
Go on.
These folks are motivated by wanting everybody to get along. They want peace. They want harmony in their environment. They avoid conflict like it is the plague. And they don't like unpleasant emotions because, again, anger is our key emotional struggle, and we are pushing it on down. We just want everybody to get along. Can't everybody just get along?
Right.
Deepest fear is being too needy and pushed away by other people because they have needs. And they cope with this fear by kind of going with the flow, even if they don't agree with what's going on. So they tend to be agreeable in order to be included. So because they want to keep the peace at all costs, even if there's a conversation happening and there's people that are having a disagreement, they might just say, oh, okay, the louder voice, I'll just go with that because I just want this to be over. Like, I don't want this. I'm not even necessarily going to tell you if I disagree with you ever. I just want this to be done.
Okay, that sounds familiar.
And so, again, because I work with so many groups and departments, and you can imagine in workspaces, people know this person right away because it's
What do you mean?
What I mean is, because 9s tend to, in the moment of, let's say we're having a department meeting.
Okay.
And we're all talking about like a hot button topic.
Okay.
And there's a louder person. They're not going to voice their opinion, but
Okay.
afterward to their friend, they'll be like, I didn't even agree with that. But then they're like, well, then why didn't you say so in the meeting? And they were like, I'm sorry, actually have to voice my opinion loud to create some discourse? No. So
Okay.
9 tends to be a little bit easier to spot because
Okay.
it's not as many overlaps.
Got it.
These people do tend to be calm, cool, and collected, and they can diffuse conflict with a lot of ease because they're living in a state of wanting to diffuse everything all the time anyway. So they get really good at it. Really good at it. Of saying, hey guys, like, I think it's just this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, let's just go ahead.
It's
like,
just chicken.
It's just chicken. Exactly. So, but they do tend to have like a very soothing voice. They do tend to know a lot of people, but don't have a lot of really close connections. But they know a lot of folks. Okay. Generally liked, but they tend to be very chill, like almost a Zen-like vibe to them.
Okay.
To them. How are we feeling?
Yeah, I
Maybe?
mean,
Maybe?
most of that I would resonate with. Yeah.
Okay. Right?
Yeah.
Woof.
Yeah.
Woof. So 1s really want to do what's right all the time, very justice oriented to what's right. They want to be seen as good. They want to be seen as honorable and good, and they want to live a life that has purpose, but is seen as good. And they seek to do the best thing, the most correct thing, what's the right thing to do. So you can imagine it's interesting because these folks are like, well, what's the right thing? Well, in most circumstances, folks, there's not one right thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But they are always striving to find that one right thing. Like, what's the right thing to do? So their deepest fear is to be viewed as like bad, morally flawed, imperfect, like not a good person. That would just kill them. So again, you can imagine every single one of these types like wants to be liked by people, but in a different way.
Yeah.
And so for this one, they just want to be seen as like a good human. And they cope with this fear by being a little bit rigid, very hard on themselves. Very hard on themselves. They have insane standards, and then they have a really hard time because they project those standards on other people, and they will never meet them. because they have all of these ideas about what's right and what should be done, and there's a right way to do it. But like, not everybody's going to see it that way.
Yeah.
So it's a heavy load. My ones out there, we got a heavy load, folks. Because it's really hard. It's really hard to always try to do the right thing all the time, right?
Yeah.
So we tend to be very straightforward.
You?
And serious in conversation. Anybody who's ever had a conversation with me, like we will be all of us. I'm very straightforward. I'm very direct, but also I tend to like really get in there with people. Like I don't know how to have a conversation about like what's the hot movie. No, I really don't. I don't even know how to have that conversation.
Right.
But we tend to be very practical, very hardworking. We're very diligent employees because we're very like detail oriented. So like you give us an assignment, it's going to get done, right? But we have really high standards. We tend to be pretty rigid with some stuff, which, as you guys know, happens. We can be very intense, and we can concentrate and get in the zone really easily on things. And we have a natural talent for teaching and instructing others.
Oh, okay.
Oh my gosh. All right, so we're at our Hannah's favorite part. We are at our favorite activity. So we're at our final one. So we have Hermione Granger.
Hermione, yeah.
We've got Neville Longbottom.
Oh.
We've got Mary Poppins. And we've got Katniss Everdeen.
Oh.
So we have our 8. Our 8 is our protector, our challenger. Who do we think is our 8?
Katniss.
Katniss Everdeen, my friends.
Yeah.
Of course.
Maybe Hermione? No. More just Katniss?
I mean,
She might be
we'll
more
never
of something
know.
else.
That's not.
Okay.
So 9, who's the one trying to keep the peace?
Neville.
Neville.
Longbottom.
Sweet
Sweet
Neville.
Neville. And so our perfectionists are going to be Hermione.
Hermione.
And Mary Poppins, her saying is practically perfect in every way.
Oh, yeah.
So she's going to be our perfectionist.
Okay.
Okay.
Ooh.
So those are kind of our different types. And if anybody's wondering out there, like, how does this shake out?
I was thinking that while you were talking. Yeah.
If you're thinking, like, how does this shake out? Like, how are there some types that are a lot? And I will say, like, I have a lot of 2s in my life. I have a lot of 3s in my life. I have a lot of 9s in my life. I don't have a lot of 5s. So you may see in your life a lot of certain types.
Yeah.
But here's how it shakes out. Type 1s, 10% of the population. Type 2s, 11%. Type 3s, 11%. Type 4s, 11%.
Oh, wow.
Type 5s, 10%. 6. Because you'll see in your life, you'll identify with like, oh, I've got a lot of this. I've got a lot of that. I don't see a lot of this. I don't see a lot of that. So it's just kind of good to know like what in the population, like how rare. How rare is each one of those?
I know, and I wonder like, well, this might be when you go deeper, if we come back for a part 2, like are certain like types attracted to different numbers because I don't know, they bring something out in you or like you're looking for something.
Right.
Well, yeah, as we talked about it, right? There's so many that have similar behaviors, even though the motivation's completely different. I'm sure for people, again, I'm just bringing it back to like the work or with your friends. Right. The people who do the things you do or understand your behaviors the way like easily, it's easy to connect with those folks, right? People who are completely opposite from you, it may be really hard to like get it. You know what I mean? That's why you and I both were like, oh, those logic folks. Right? Like, because I don't know that I'm doing that. Like for me, we've got this gut instinct. Like I don't need all this data. Like it is what it is, you know? And so it's easier to connect with certain people that you may have similar behaviors with or that your motivations are the same.
Yeah.
Do
Interesting.
you know what Eric is?
Yes, my husband is a 2 as well.
Oh, interesting.
Works great for me. Ladies, marry a 2. He will bring you coffee. He will do that. Like he's a servant's heart,
Got
right?
it.
I do have to remind him often, like you don't have
Right.
You don't have to.
Totally.
Do it, right? Yeah.
And what's Lorenzo?
A 3.
3. Okay. That's the achiever. And he wants to
be seen as successful.
Okay. Okay.
So again, this is a very quick, very light thing.
Yeah.
We will put in the show notes. There's some great websites if people really are into
Yes,
this.
put things in the show notes.
Yes, and they have videos that go over each type. So I'll give you that.
Cool. Oh, yeah.
And I have some favorite Instagram accounts that do great graphic designs of each type.
Yes, I would want to see that. Yeah.
For any of you who are deep into Enneagram, yes, we are not talking about wings today. So each type Also,
let's have you back for
No,
wings.
we need to because
Yeah.
I really want to.
There's so
even
much.
as you were talking, I was
Yes, AJ,
thinking
wings.
like, because it's usually like the wings are like the numbers
Next to you.
Yeah, so I was thinking I was relating more to like a 1 versus the 8.
Correct.
Right. So yeah, let's come back and do wings next time.
So there's so much. Enneagram is so rich. Like I said, each number goes to stress for this number. So I go
Yeah.
to 4 in stress. I go
Okay.
to 7 in growth. So there's so much deep.
Yeah, I want to talk about
It goes
that. Yeah,
so
yeah.
deep. So just know this was a very light.
Just an
tasting.
intro.
baby.
And
Yeah.
I wanted to bring up that we were talking about the test earlier. 'Cause
Yeah.
a lot of people are like, hey, can't I just take a test that tells me what it is? And the answer is yes, but I really strongly advise against the test. And the reason is
Taking the test.
no, I don't advise taking the test.
Okay.
And here's why. Because as we saw, so many of the behaviors are the same for different numbers.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then
there's a lot of overlap.
there's a lot of
Yeah.
overlap.
Yeah.
And a lot of the tests will give you like a top 3. And then you tend to be obsessed with only learning about those 3 to figure out which one of those 3 you are. And what if you're none of those 3? Then you're not
versus-
as
okay.
open.
Yeah.
The best way to figure out your Enneagram type is to dive into
so
each
you really
type.
got to learn all of
You
them.
do. You really
Okay.
got to know. Because I thought I was an 8 forever because I'm a fierce protector. Anybody who
Yeah.
knows me, you come for my people. Good luck to you. Great little intro about me. But for me, I'm not an 8 because it's not about just protecting for the sake of protecting. I'm going to protect you because that's what's right. If you're flat out wrong, I'm going to be that direct one who's like, you know what, friend? Actually, I don't actually agree with you on that, you know?
Yeah.
So the reasoning is different,
Got
even
it.
though the behaviors are the same. So I
Got
do
it.
find that just learning about the different types
Yeah.
so that you can figure out what really
That's
works for
good
you.
to know. And really, I didn't know about the triad thing. So
Yeah,
that actually
that
kind of
was
puts things
really
into
cool.
perspective. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's good.
especially if you're like between, am I a 1 or a 2, knowing that one's the gut and one's the heart, like,
Yeah.
and what your
Yeah.
relationship, are you really have a relationship with anger or is it with shame?
Shame.
Like, I feel like that
Yeah.
understanding underlying motivation is really
I'm sad that I'm anger.
really, because mine is true. Boy,
Yeah.
can Heather get annoyed. I don't like to call it anger,
Yeah.
but boy, those frustrations just
Right.
sit right there under the surface.
Yeah.
No, this was so
Good.
cool. We
Was it
definitely
good?
have to do part 2 because
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, Lena, I
Yeah.
have so many questions.
do another hour of
I
this,
know,
for
right?
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
For
we'll do
sure.
a part
Okay.
2. And yeah, roomies, like if you are into Enneagram, I want to
Yeah.
know what you are.
Please chime in.
Yeah.
Let us know. I want to know what our listeners are.
Yeah.
What type our listeners
Yeah,
are.
yeah,
For
yeah.
sure.
That'd
Yeah.
be interesting.
Dive
Yeah.
in. And if anybody, happens to work at a place where they need corporate training
Oh,
or professional
yes.
development for their
Plug
team,
that shit, girl.
just saying, I do this professionally and have done it with many different managerial
Yes.
organizations,
Uh-huh.
and I'm happy to come do it with you and your team.
Yes.
Wow.
I love that.
Okay, plug yourself. Let's go. That's the bell. We want to thank Heather, our guest, for
Queen of
Late to the Part,
Sorry.
Enneagram Queen. Thank you for coming on and teaching us so much about
So much.
Because I barely, now that I'm knowing all this, we barely scratched the surface,
Yeah,
right? Of
yeah.
the things that we knew. So thank you so much for doing that. Catch us on the socials, and we're gonna put in the show notes some of that stuff you were talking about. So follow us on Instagram, and are we still doing TikTok?
TBD.
Yeah, all the socials and all that. Tell me again what we do.
Oh, Spotify,
Yeah.
Apple,
Yeah.
comment.
Comment
Engage.
and subscribe and do the ratings. I think the ratings really do help
us.
because this puts the pod in front of other people,
Yeah.
people who want to listen to the same stuff that we're talking about. So please do that. And I think we're going to catch you next time for
good.
a part 2
A
or
part
maybe
2.
even a part 3.
We,
Yeah, you
we
never
kind of
know.
need to. Yeah.
If people love it, hey, let
for
us know.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
until then, it's been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun.
Bye.